Hello everybody, welcome to Dungeons & Drams. Today we're going to be talking about character backstory. Now this was the most voted on from a poll I did on Patreon, so I thought I would do a video on this. But I wanted to kind of find the right angle, because character backstory is something that's very personal to people, and that might actually be the reason that you're playing this. Maybe you have this fantasy that you want to live out of a prodigy wizard or a really angry barbarian, but maybe you have no idea how that wizard discovered that they were magical in the first place, or maybe your barbarian is mad and you have no idea why. So all of these things can be handled through AI, but I also wanted to keep that bit of, creativity that really kind of lets you latch onto this character. I didn't want to just throw like, I'm this, give me a backstory, because we could do that for sure. And if you have to generate a lot of these, you might want to do that. But I figured this would be something better for role tables, and I wanted to generate several of them so you can pick what you want and then feed that back to the AI, and then it will write you a backstory. For the first time that I can remember, we're going to be changing our initial prompt here. I'm planning on playing Dungeons & Dragons, and I'm looking to create a character backstory that will be compelling but also in line with the level character I'm creating. Now, I've given it a few different things here. I say you should prompt me for this information: my character name, my race, my class, my subclass, location where I come from. Now, you do not have to give it that information. It could make something up if you'd like to, but for the moment, we're going to feed it to it. You can change this around as you see fit. And then also, what level is your character? So if I give it a level 1 character, it would make sense that maybe I'm a farmer. If I give it a level 5 character, maybe I was a hero of war. Maybe I was like a general, and now I've decided, military life's not for me, and I want to go and off and be an adventurer, things like that. So we want to have this level for the character. All right. Then we're going to go on to, I would like you to generate a sequence of random tables for the following information. This is where we define it. Each table should have 20 options, so obviously 20-sided dice. The table should be formatted with 2 columns. The first column is the number, the second column is the value. That's important just for the way it looks. I think it's worth putting that in there. You do not need to, it'll just number everything for you. Now here are a few things that I thought were important, but you could certainly add to this list. Absolutely. And if you have any cool ideas, throw it down in the chat below, the comments below, and I'll add them over to my Patreon. So as you guys know, all of these prompts are available for free on my Patreon, because then I can update them a little easier, and I can add images, or I can do whatever I want over on Patreon. So check that out. Links in the description below. Those posts will always be free. All right, so first is quirks. What makes me unlike other people? So these are going to be little things like maybe I fidget with things, or maybe I like to write in a journal, things like that. Just minor, but things that you could really pull from to, spark your creativity. Motivation. Why do I adventure? That's very important. People. Who do I know from my past that had an impact on me? This is kind of important. It doesn't just have to be dead parents, right? Or, an uncle who was a thief. Events. What events in my life helped shape me? So this could be dead parents. It could also be that you just, were in that war or whatever. It's going to give you a whole bunch of different options. And you could also ask it for additional ones. If you don't like any of the 20 it gave you, there's no reason you can't ask for more. I will tell you which numbers I rolled or prefer, and then I'd like you to write me a backstory for my character. Do you understand? As always, we're giving it that do you understand, that way it doesn't just spit out everything. Perfect, it understands, and then it's going to ask you for those details. It wants you to prompt it. Now I've auto-generated some in a different tab, so I'm just going to paste these in here. So my character name is Orin Thornbrew. I'm a half-orc. I'm a bard, College of Whispers bard, and my location doesn't matter, but the Frostbound Vale, a remote and icy region known for its harsh winters and isolated mysterious settlements. And I'm going to say my level is 1. It ended up generating 4 different random tables, and I have 4 dice here, so I'm going to roll these, and then we're going to see what we come up with. All right, so for quirks, I never laugh ever. That actually makes a lot of sense in my mind for a half-orc, who might have some sort of trauma. We'll see how that goes. Next is an 11, so out of the motivation, we're going to go to 11, to escape a dark secret from my past. Okay, so my motivation is to escape a dark secret from my past, and I never laugh ever. Sounds like I'm going to be a real fun person. Next, for people, it's a 19. A shapeshifter who once assumed my identity for their own gain. Okay, so this is kind of starting to come together. Maybe this shapeshifter, did something basically disguised as me, which is my dark secret. Basically I was framed for something I didn't do. This kind of soured me on everything, and now I'm just a generally serious kind of grumpy person. And then the events is I uncovered a dark secret in my hometown that forced me to flee. Okay, so I would stretch that just a little bit. Maybe the dark secret was that the shapeshifter existed. Either way, it doesn't matter. I need to now tell ChatGPT what I rolled and on which tables, and then it will formulate the story for me, which is very cool. So I entered quirks 1, motivation 11, people 19, and events 3. I'll post the whole backstory over on the Patreon, but for the sake of this, I actually asked it to give me a quick little synopsis of this in a few sentences. Orin Thornbrew, a stoic half-orc bard from the Frostbound Vale, was forced to flee his home after uncovering a dangerous conspiracy hidden within his icy settlement. Now constantly on the run, he seeks to escape from those who wanted him silenced while mastering the shadows as a member of the College of Whispers. Haunted by dark secrets and a shapeshifter who once stole his identity, Orin bides his time until he can return home to confront the mystery that shattered his life. So if you were to read through the whole thing, you would see there's actually quite a bit more detail, and as a DM, it would be plenty for me to kind of make a story for him to go back home and deal with. So let's generate another one of these just to kind of prove it to ourselves that everything's working properly. This character is going to be Merri Brightspark, a gnome sorcerer who is a wild magic sorcerer, and they are from Sunleaf Glen, a vibrant sunny forest full of cheerful woodland creatures and sparkling streams, and they're going to be level 5. Now, one thing I really like about this is that the roll tables tend to reflect more about your character and things that would make them interesting. So it's not just like in the player handbook where there's great tables and everything. I truly think that they're cool, especially because they have to be generic. This doesn't have to be generic. So it can give you some choices that are more in line with what you might want to create. I think that's really cool. All right, we're going to roll our 4 dice again and see what happens. Well, that's kind of wild. I rolled 3 18s and a 3. So Merri Brightspark is convinced that magic has personality and that it talks to him. That's kind of fun. Totally fun to play with a gnome, actually. Their motivation is to harness the power of wild magic for a greater cause. Okay. The people is a fellow sorcerer who helped to harness his powers during a surge. Was an impact on him, so that's actually kind of helpful, and we could come up with who that person is using our NPC generator template, which you can find again on the Patreon. And then number 3 here is I saved a village from a magical storm I unintentionally created. That was an event in their life, which is pretty cool because they're level 5. They should have done something, and that feels about right. All right, so let's give this the information. Quirk 18, motivation 18, people 18, and events 3. So Merri Brightspark's backstory will be on the Patreon as well, and maybe I'll generate a image of her. That kind of makes a little bit of sense. I like that. Merri Brightspark, a gnome sorcerer from Sunleaf Glen, believes that magic has a personality and talks to her, leading to a unique and playful relationship with her wild magic. After nearly destroying a village during a wild magic surge, Merri resolved to master her chaotic powers for a greater cause. Along her journey, she was helped by another sorcerer, Elira, who guided her in controlling her magic. Now Merri seeks to harness the unpredictability of her wild magic to protect others and uncover her true potential. So I like this person. They don't have a whole lot of backstory to go back to, but they do have backstory to kind of pull from. You know, you could talk about that event of the wild magic storm and how you were the one that had to save it, but secretly nobody knows that you started it, or maybe everybody knows that you started it. And how does that affect your character? Plenty to pull from there. I really like this backstory generator because it doesn't just do everything for you. You have to roll, you have to choose, you have to kind of make it your own, and then it fills in some of this detail and kind of makes it a little bit more fantastical than maybe you could have come up with yourself. Maybe you're not a great writer. Nobody needs you to be, right? You're just gonna be there to play D&D, and you have an idea of a sorcerer that you want to play. All of this can just help you and be a tool to help you be better at what you want to do. And that's what AI is supposed to be for. So, thank you everybody for joining me here on Dungeons & Drams, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Cheers.